One Piece Season 2 ending explained, Netflix Season 3 predictions, Easter eggs breakdown and review. It feels like a lifetime since the Straw Hat crew first set sail on Netflix, but after a 2-year wait, One Piece Season 2 is finally here. If the pacing keeps up like this, we might all be reaching retirement age by the time they hit episode 1000. Jokes aside, this season continues to pull off the absolute impossible, delivering a genuinely fantastic live-action adaptation of an anime classic. While Season 1 masterfully tackled the East Blue Saga, Season 2 sets its sights on the Arabasta Saga. However, if you were expecting a massive desert showdown this season, you might be a little surprised. This outing essentially covers everything up to Drum Island, saving the sprawling Arabasta storyline for the future. Considering the sheer length of the source material, letting the story breathe was definitely the right call. From massive reveals and hidden details to setting the stage for what's next, there is a massive amount of ground to cover. Let's dive deep into the Easter eggs, the biggest changes from the manga, a full review, and an ending explained that will perfectly set up One Piece Season 3. Setting sail, Baroque works and major story changes. Season 1 ended with Luffy and the crew defeating Arlong and heading toward the Grand Line, all in pursuit of Gold Roger's legendary treasure, the One Piece. Season 2 kicks off with a bang, introducing the overarching villains of this saga, the secret syndicate known as Baroque Works. The live action makes an immediate pivot from the manga by having Baroque Works attack Shell's town to recruit Mr. Seven. While this specific event is a show-only edition, it does a brilliant job of establishing the threat level of this mysterious organization. We are quickly introduced to key operatives like Miss Valentine, Mr. Five, and the incredibly important Miss All Sunday, better known to fans as Nico Robin. As a devil fruit user who consumed the flower fruit, allowing her to sprout body parts like arms from any surface, Robin is a powerhouse. The live action even gives us an early look at her Doche Fleur technique, which manga readers know wasn't highlighted until much later in the Thriller Bark arc. The shadow looming over all of this is Mr. Zero, the leader of Baroque Works. Played with menacing perfection by Joe Manganiello, Crocodile's ultimate goal is Operation Utopia. Significant live-action changes. The writers didn't hold back on altering character fates to raise the stakes. Unlike the manga, Nico Robin actually kills Ripper early on. We also see the premature deaths of Miss Valentine and Mr. Five, characters who originally stuck around for much longer in the source material. These changes make the live-action universe feel significantly more lethal. Logetown lore and God Valley teases. Before fully entering the Grand Line, the crew makes a final stop at Logetown, the site of Gold Roger's execution. This location is an absolute goldmine for world building and Easter eggs. We get an incredible flashback featuring a conversation between Vice Admiral Garp and a dying Gold Roger. The show brilliantly shifts the timeline here, dropping references to the hero of God Valley, a massive lore drop that manga readers will instantly recognize, and even showing a God Valley play at the Logetown Opera House. The writers are expertly weaving future lore into the early narrative, providing layers of motivation for why Roger chose to trigger the Great Pirate Era. Hidden Easter eggs in Lowtown. The hanger hair guy, keep an eye out in the background. The random shop owner with hair shaped like a coat hanger from Nami's manga shopping trip makes a blink and you miss it cameo. Admiral Kong. When the crew goes shopping, you can spot a history of the Marines book authored by Admiral Kong, a nod to Chapter 0. Bartolomeo retcon. During Buggy's execution attempt on Luffy, we get a cameo of a young Bartolomeo bumping into Nami. In the manga, he didn't formally appear until the Dressrosa arc, making this a fantastic treat for longtime fans. Logetown also properly introduces Smoker and Tashigi. The live action makes Tashigi feel slightly more inexperienced initially compared to her manga counterpart, but Smoker is as relentless as ever, realizing that Luffy carries the exact same spark as Gold Roger. Reverse Mountain and the tragic tale of Laboon. Navigating into the Grand Line via Reverse Mountain is visually stunning, proving that the special effects budget was put to good use. But the real heart of this segment is Laboon, the giant island whale. Swallowed whole, the crew meets Crocus and learns the tragic backstory of the Rumbar pirates. The live action integrates later manga reveals flawlessly here. We see Captain Calico Yorkie, but more importantly, We see a musician playing a very familiar tune. Think Sake. This is, of course, Brook. Learning about his tragic death, his revive fruit, and how he was left as a living skeleton wandering the fog adds a beautiful, melancholy layer to Laboon's relentless waiting. It's world-class foreshadowing. Whiskey Peak, Little Garden, and Giants. Armed with a log pose from Crocus, the crew accidentally stumbles into a Baroque Works trap at Whiskey Peak. We learn that Princess Vivi has been infiltrating the organization to save her kingdom of Arabasta from Mr. Zero's insidious influence. Zoro gets a fantastic moment to shine here, taking down the bounty hunters, complete with a great visual of Mihawk living rent-free in his head as motivation. Choosing not to trust Nico Robin's gifted eternal pose, Luffy breaks it, forcing the crew to detour to Little Garden. This prehistoric island is everything you want from One Piece: dinosaurs, ancient duels, and giants. Meeting Dory and Bragi from Elbaf, a location currently highly relevant in the latest manga chapters, is a joy. The show mixes up the timeline slightly by having Mr. 3, the brilliant David Dastmalchian, take out Bragi at the cave rather than the duel site, but the tension of the wax trap remains incredibly high. Sanji adopting the Mr. Prince alias to mess with Crocodile over the transponder snail is a highlight, perfectly setting up his tactical brilliance. Drum Island. Enter Chopper. With Nami falling severely ill, the crew lands on Drum Island, soon to be the Cherry Blossom Kingdom, in search of a doctor. Here we meet the detestable King Wapol, who ate the Munch Munch fruit, and the incredibly abrasive but loving Dr. Kureha, played beautifully by Katie Seagal. But the real star of Drum Island is Tony Chopper. Fans were anxious about how a talking reindeer would look in live action, but the CGI is phenomenal. They completely nailed his design. Chopper's tragic backstory with Dr. Hiralik, his ostracization due to the human fruit, and his eventual choice to join the Straw Hats remain the emotional core of the season. While the final fight against Wapol feels a bit scaled down compared to the manga, missing Wapol's house form and some of his wilder transformations, likely due to budget constraints. The emotional payoff of Hiralik's pink cherry blossom snow lighting up the sky hits just as hard as it did in the anime. Season 2 ending explained, The Will of D and Project Utopia. As the season wraps up, the stage is aggressively set for Season 3. Two massive concepts are pushed to the forefront, Project Utopia and The Will of D. Dr. Kureha explicitly mentions the Will of D after realizing Luffy's middle initial. This is a mysterious trait passed down through generations. Those who carry the D, like GOLD, Roger, and Monkey D. Luffy, are natural enemies of the world government and the Celestial Dragons. While even the manga hasn't fully unpacked the entirety of this 800-year-old mystery, the live action is making sure audiences know it's central to the endgame. Meanwhile, Crocodile is ready to trigger Operation Utopia. He has spent years using his warlord status to masquerade as a hero in Arabasta. By secretly using dance powder to hoard rain in the capital and cause droughts everywhere else, he has actively fueled a rebel uprising against King Cobra. His ultimate goal? To usurp the kingdom and uncover the ancient weapon, Pluton, hidden beneath Arabasta. Massive Season 3 predictions and character reveals. If you thought Season 2 was wild, Season 3 is going to break the internet. The finale leaves us with some jaw-dropping teases. 1. Poor Gasti, Ace is coming. The closing moments utilize Chapter 154 to introduce Ace, Luffy's adoptive brother. With Zolo Mariduena of Cobra Kai fame cast in the role, this is going to be a massive dynamic shift. Ace is a powerhouse user of the Flame fruit and a member of the legendary Whitebeard Pirates. 2. Dragon's identity. The mysterious cloaked man who saved Luffy from Smoker in Lowtown? That is Monkey D. Dragon. Not only is he the leader of the Revolutionary Army, the biggest active threat to the world government, but he is also Luffy's biological father. 3. Sanji's royal secret. Sanji calling himself Mr. Prince wasn't just a cool code name. He dropped major lore this season by mentioning his mother, Vin Moke Sora. Sanji is actually the third prince of the Vinsmoke royal family, a group of genetically enhanced rulers from the North Blue. The seeds planted here will have massive payoffs years down the line. Final thoughts. A worthy voyage? So, how does One Piece Season 2 stack up? It is undeniably a triumph. Introducing characters like Vivi, Chopper, and Nico Robin into live action was always going to be a tightrope walk, but the wardrobe, casting, and CGI departments knocked it out of the park. Are there nitpicks? Sure. The pacing means we lose a few of the more drawn-out, fantastical fights from the manga due to runtime and budget constraints. Halting the story before reaching the actual sands of Arabasta is a tease, and there is a slight worry that Season 3 might have to rush to fit the entire Desert War into 8 episodes. However, looking at the big picture, the showrunners are using hindsight to their advantage. By integrating late-stage lore, like God Valley, Elbaf, and the Vin Moke lineage, into the early arcs, they are creating a much more cohesive story for television. One Piece Season 2 successfully honors the heart, comedy, and tragedy of the original masterpiece while cementing itself as the gold standard for live-action anime adaptations. What did you think of the new season? Were you happy with the live-action Chopper, and what are your biggest predictions for Season 3? Let us know in the comments below.